Hello, everybody. Welcome to Get Real with Andy. This is a very special edition with my very, very special friend, Ivona Bhadha. I'll let you introduce yourself in a moment. We're going to talk about something that is universal, that applies to everyone, and hopefully this will be helpful. So take it, Ivona.
Hi, everyone. I also feel very honored to be here with my best friend, Andy. He's my best male friend. So it means that I have only one bestie. And I am, just like Andy, I'm a licensed psychotherapist. I work in private practice, but I also consult for amazing organization that treats people with really complex challenges, like trauma, mental health issues, addictions, and they have a hard time to function. And I am in the role of family therapist and director of family resources. So I'm just very blessed to have different ways of giving in the community and supporting people to strengthen their family units.
So, how do we know each other? We go back years,
Hmm.
years.
Yeah,
We met
years.
we met in a weekend course called the Real Course, which is
Hmm.
all about inner development and it is inner child work. I know
Hmm.
that's gotten sort of a fluff and puff rap in the past, but it's very deep and lovely. It's a lovely community. Shout out to the Real Course.
Yeah, and I think it's also about really building emotional resilience, which is a huge takeaway and benefit that I got from Real Course. And I think that we met like 8, 9 years ago, and what connected us was our love for learning and have fun. Learn and have fun. Learning through experience and grow, and facing our parts, even the parts that we are not so proud of.
And I do remember you and I were driving in my car. We were meeting with everybody, and I was having so much fun with you. I didn't care where we were going or who we were going to meet. And when we got there, they laid such a heavy guilt trip on us that we let the team down. And part of me was just laughing because I was still having such a good time. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, and I think looking back at it, that, I learn very well when there is no pressure and there is somebody, even in high school and at the university, I always had a buddy that we had so much laughs, and then I was able to learn. So kind of a balance and harmony between learning and facing, in this case, was, our own emotions, and also have spontaneous fun.
and of course, that really does, it's a good segue into our topic today because our topic is a big one. We're going to talk about parenting.
Hmm.
Ivana and I have not scripted this. We've
Yeah.
had talks, just
Hmm.
when it's relevant with each other, but this time we're going to see if we can formalize it a little bit. And I just want to start off by saying that, parenting is maybe the most important thing. It's the most important influence in everyone's life. And I would say that's universal. Because when we come into this world, we're so wide open. We don't have a
Hmm.
name. We don't know our name. We don't speak a language. And yet, here we are needing to communicate our needs and to just connect with these people who take care of us, without whom we will die. It is such a primal bond and a primal need that we
Hmm.
actually, there's so much positive pressure to connect that we learn a language. Within a few years, we learn how to use words. And, they teach babies sign language. You're aware of that, right? They
No.
teach babies learn sign language before they know how to speak.
Yeah, like,
Yes, like food
yeah,
and it's
food.
more, this is more.
Uh,
And so, you know, even monkeys can do that, but human children are so much more advanced than monkeys at a certain point.
Hmm.
And so we're going
Yeah.
to talk about how deeply affected children are by the style of parenting, by the presence or non-presence of their parents.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, at some point, I want you to talk about this course that you've been trained in. It's called Redirecting Children's Behavior. And,
Yes.
and I,
Yes.
because I think that's very relevant and it really provides a lovely, humanistic, positive model. You
Hmm.
know, it's not called punishing children when they're bad, it's just called redirecting children's
Hmm.
behavior.
Yeah.
It's based on real loving principles. And I hope, I know you're certified in it or something, and I want you to speak about it.
Yeah.
I took the course as an adult, long after my child was an adult person. And even
Yeah.
I got a lot of benefit out of it.
Yeah, yeah. Because we are still doing certain reparenting of ourselves. Our childhood will be coming up, surfacing um, in different life seasons, and just because childhood is over or we did some courses on healing inner child, it doesn't mean that our brain won't release some memories, things that we didn't remember before. So we are always in process of reparenting ourselves.
Let's talk about imprints. And I'm not sure if that's a word you use to describe what you've just described, but I use imprints to mean those things that were sort of
Mhm.
embossed in our nervous system based on our
Mhm.
experience. There is a principle of psychoneuroimmunology that I
Mhm.
simply put whatever's out there goes in. And it's
Mm.
just so true
Mhm.
for children. And
Yeah.
whatever's in there comes out again eventually. So
Yeah. Yeah.
these are imprints. So that
Mm.
means we learn what's normal, we learn what's expected, we learn what's good, we learn whatever it takes to get the love that we want. And those become imprints that we then generalize in all of our future relationships. And we don't even know that we're dealing with imprints. We just think that's reality because that's
Mhm.
how deeply imprinted it
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah, yeah. Just like they say that cliche, children are like sponges. It is just because they are really um developing still their nervous system and their sense of self based on the environment and based on the interactions with caregivers. So it is so crucial, that parents understand, like I learned to understand, starting with redirecting children's behavior and then through different trainings I took, I kind of understood that children don't need perfect parents or even perfect childhood.
Yeah,
They
thank
really
God.
need, thank God, right? They need parents who are regulated, parents who can repair, and parents who are able to be stay connected to themselves while they're connected to the child. So, so the parent can pause and be really mindful about how they're going to responding to children's behaviors and emotions, because children will test parents' patience, and everything what they didn't resolve in their own lives will be tested.
So I want to just restate a little bit of what you said, in that you don't have to be perfect to be a good parent. And
Mhm.
I believe what I hear you saying is that damage control is a big part of good parenting. If you make a mistake,
Mhm.
if you notice that you're taking something out on the kids that really doesn't belong to them, then you just admit it. And
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it keeps the kids from imprinting something bad about themselves.
Exactly. If we really remember that it's not the mistake that defines us, it is really the repair. Like I often, I read it and I really believe that the children is not gonna remember your mistakes, but they will remember whether you came back.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Mhm.
I like that.
Mhm. And when I read it in this way, and when I also contemplated on that, I really realized that what I'm giving to my children, me always mostly in real time coming to apologize or to talk or to repair with them and start again, that never happened in my childhood.
Yeah, you know what? I was
Yeah.
reflecting, not only did that not happen in my childhood, but my daughter is a grown woman and your kids
Mhm.
are still young, but I didn't know some things and some of the
Mhm.
repair work I only did when my daughter was an adult or a young adult. And
Yeah.
fortunately, she had the kahunas to confront me, and I
Mhm.
had the whatever it takes to just say, yeah, I that was an error. I'm really sorry. If I had it to do over, but you have,
Yeah.
and I've seen you. I love your children. I
Mhm.
see the
Mhm.
kind of rapport that you have, and your kids are like free, wild little people, free spirits.
Mhm.
And by wild, I don't mean out of control. I just mean
Mhm.
free to
Mhm.
express themselves. They even feel
Mhm.
free to say no.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I think that's not kind of my natural setting, but I really invested time into trainings, into my own therapy, my own personal growth. I'm not saying that it's always happened through like one-on-one therapy, but I have done deep therapeutic trainings and I continue going to real course because I I heal myself there a little bit more, and then I can show up more authentically and spontaneously. What I really love when I don't have to put all my energy into suppressing my feelings or controlling my children, which those are kind of default things that we do without skillful parenting, right? We just do kind of by default. We just control our children's behavior and we also try to control our emotions. So I don't have to do that. And it has been, work in progress all these years. I am healing myself, but I feel so much aliveness to be authentic and spontaneous. And one thing that we have been talking, you and me over the years is how important is to tackle shame. Not the shame that feeling shame as that can be a scary word for people, but shame is a emotion that we are not born with, but we pick up in our environment in relationships. So again, if our parents weren't skillful in parenting job and they were just transpass what is the word um trans trans like
Transmitting, transmitting.
transmitting. Yeah, it's like a disease, but it's a trauma that it's transmitted from generation to generation. So that was passed on me, and when I realized that, I started doing the work because I didn't want to transmit that trauma on my parents. And I think what you are describing is that I'm not trying to protect them from my or their emotions. They have seen me angry. They have seen me sad. They have seen me scared. They have seen me guilty. And the difference, Andy, is that um, I kind of own it, that I'm feeling it. I'm not kind of acting out that emotion, So if I raise my voice, that they already know by now, one is 12, one is 8, that I will come back, maybe even in 2 minutes. I'm sorry, guys, this wasn't really about you, I'm just like, I have too much on my plate. Can you forgive me? We have this saying, and yeah, yeah, mommy, But first time when I yelled at my kids and they were much younger, I saw the fear in their eyes.
Good.
And I was like, oh gosh, like this is real what they are writing in psychological books, right? Like your children, even if you don't mean to scare them, they get scared when you all of a sudden you don't manage your anger and there is rage, right? But I think it's not the like you said, control damage is just that self-awareness, managing it, and then really having a plan, doing it again better next time. And when I say doing it better, is like I need to find a way how to navigate this emotion because it signals something to me. If my kid spills a cup of milk, which can happen pretty frequently, or water, and if I don't come to them, oh, let's clean it up together, which is the most appropriate response. If I show something else than that, then my nervous system is not in regulated state. Ivana needs to look at her schedule, needs to look at her self-care. If I don't have compassion for my child when it spills, milk or water,
So what are you saying? Spilling happens?
spilling happens.
Spilling
And the
happens.
way you react to the spilling is your feedback, is your neurofeedback.
And in fact, teaching the child this is what you do when you spill something. So if you model whatever it is, that's what you're modeling. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, really, what do I want to teach my kids? Look, I know from the very beginning, when I first saw my daughter being born, I saw her before her mother did, if you know what I'm saying, that
Mhm.
I felt this impulse to be a better person because this little being was entrusted to me
Mhm.
by God. I felt like I matured by lifetimes in very few moments, and
Mhm.
I've been working on it consciously and
Mhm.
ever since. But it was a spiritual experience
Yeah.
that these little
Mhm.
people, this little person is being entrusted to me, and I want
Yeah.
to do a great job. And I
Mhm.
and I know what we're both saying is our default mode is how we were parented.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that default mode is often too much at fault rather than just default.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it behooves us to work on ourselves and to just be more conscious.
Mhm. And perfect example would be when the parent just intending the best, but doesn't have resolved their own childhood adversities. The when the very first time for this adult parent, if his or her child shows anger, like a real anger, even like I hate you, right? And
Yeah.
the parent reacts, in a way that anger is bad or no is a bad thing, or they're reacting to sadness, like, what are you sad about? Like kids in India don't have food, you know who I'm quoting now. And so we when we react to their emotion, the core emotions that even we had them as children, we may be coming from the old wounds because maybe we were told that anger is disrespect. You don't get angry, right? Oh my gosh. I mean, anger is important. If the girl cannot be angry, how is she going to say, and as a teenager to someone who is crossing their boundaries, for example? That's how I think about it, that
Yeah, good
no,
example. Good
yeah,
example.
yeah. Yeah, and even the boy needs to have his space. I'm always paying attention to my 12-year-old son, whether he wants my affection or he doesn't, right? Like I'm not going to uh cross his no, because I know I can harm him by that just because I like, to pet his hair.
Yeah,
Um,
that's got to be tough because he's so adorable.
yeah, yeah. And it's just I want to know all other parents there that um it is possible to really learn to parent differently. And it is not through becoming better parent than your parent was. It's more becoming a different parent. Even your parents couldn't really prepare you for the era and modern age and not having village and support for this parenting journey. So it's important to humble self and open up and acknowledge that we need to have community of people. We need to talk to people about our parenting struggles. We have to find people with whom we can
And do you
share
have
this
that?
journey.
Do you have that in your
Yeah,
life?
yeah. I mean, you are part of it too. You are kind of like a grandfather that, my children don't have in this country. You have that archetype, you are a wise man and funny. And then you can jump into your car and leave, you know.
It's the best of grandparenting. Let's talk about, you touched in a little bit, but let's talk about affection. You
Mhm,
know, because, like you said, when kids grow through different stages of their development,
mhm,
like a 12-year-old boy might not want to be so doted on by his mother
mhm,
because developmentally he's separating from the feminine and bonding with the masculine or blah blah, something like that. How do you do affection in your family? And do you have any tips about that?
mhm,
I just want to say that for me, I didn't know it when I was growing up, but I was really touch hungry. My parents were not very touchy people. Their
mhm,
whole view of children was children are to be seen and not heard. And,
mhm,
they did for me, but they didn't really show personal interest. We stopped hugging after I was a baby. And I
mhm.
remember it's a little pathetic, but I liked going on vacation because those are the times when we were posing for photographs that my father would put his arm around me. So,
Mhm.
how do you, and I know for me, I was so touchy with my daughter, you know,
Mhm.
she,
Yeah.
she still sits on my lap sometimes
Yeah,
just because we're close.
okay. Don't tell the audience how old is your daughter.
Yeah.
But I understand it can be kind of a playful connection. I have playful connection with my son because when he was born, he went to ICU in Fort Lauderdale, so I didn't have that really bonding for 7 days with him. And over the years, I told him that story over and over again. So even to this day, I'll just playfully come. I take him into my arms, I hold him like this, and I just run around, and he lets me because he knows, oh, I know, mommy, this because they took me away from you.
Oh,
But I'm paying attention to him that he wants to play in this way. And I think the answer to this question, the way how I um, hold this affection is that it's two-way street. If it was up to me, yeah, I'm also very affectionate. I would want to touch, hold, um, throw my children. No matter how old they are. But I have to pay attention, to their body language, whether my touch or my pursuing the affection, whether it's something that they need and want in a given moment. And that's why I think that learning capacity to be connected to yourself and also connected to your child at the same time is superpower, parenting superpower. So you don't you know your physiology, and you also um, know that your child is not your extension of you. They are not supposed to meet your needs. And before I forget, I wanted to also bring another dynamic here. And it is that children also will start watching you if there is a couple that they live together, and they are like parents. They're also watching affection between those two parents.
Oh yeah.
So you
Yeah.
can be affectionate as much as you want, but then you don't show affection to your partner, or the partner doesn't show to you. That's also a lesson for children. They watch it too. Yeah. So I have been working also on that side, to how would I want my children to see our marriage or our relationship.
Because whatever you're doing, you're modeling that as how this is
Mm,
how a man and a woman or how
mm,
married people are when
mm,
they're together, making a
yeah.
life together. And so you're setting a bar for them, whether you know it or not, and that's just the way it is. But I
Yeah.
also want to just not recoup, but restate something. You're talking about how important it is to be sensitive to your own self as a
Mm,
way to really be sensitive to your child. It's not
yeah.
just about their needs, it's about being aware of
Yeah.
your own issues and just being conscious.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's very important job, because we have feelings too. Parents have emotions too, just like children. And being able
Wait, let's say that
to,
again. Parents have feelings too,
yes, yes.
because we're going to show this to your kids.
Hmm. And then yeah, you can interview them next,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll ask them to give you a report card grade.
Yes, yes, anything, anything. And I think that's the beauty of being comfortable with self. Not because I accomplished a certain level of perfection. On the contrary, because I am so comfortable with my imperfections, and I think it's such a gift to have to have confidence in you, that you or in me, that I can handle these emotions. Do you have it too? Like that you can rely on yourself, that you can trust yourself, that you will manage anger if it comes up, that you will manage shame. You notice, you become aware, but also that extra confidence that you will know how to be with it before you interact with your loved ones.
Okay. Thank you. And I feel that kind of confidence that part of it is I feel like I can do damage control if I'm when I mess up. That
Mhm.
I'm and I will bet money that I will mess up at some point, you know.
Mhm.
And I'm not betting against myself when I bet like that. I'm just being realistic
Yeah.
because I'm growing. You know, I may be at a different stage of development than children.
Mhm.
Maybe not, but I mean, I'm also in process and I
Mhm.
need to honor that. And the more confident that I feel, the better job I'm going to do because like I said, I'm going to be willing to do damage control. You
Mhm.
know, there's a school of thought that says never show your children that you've made a mistake because then they will lose respect for you and you will lose authority over them. That's not my school of thought at all.
Mhm. Yeah.
My school of thought is get real, get well.
Yeah, yeah. And I
Sorry,
admire
put that
that,
plug in.
Andy, about you, like um you have a very growth mindset. And people from your I want to be
Oh man, be
politically
careful here. If you're going to say people from my generation, That's what you were gonna say, isn't it?
I wanted to find the word. Yeah, you are just your mind um never got old. Your mind is innovative, is really um, in the modern science, mind. So of course you don't subscribe all to the all the knowledge prior research and prior neuroscience. So it's all good, it's you're as young as your mind is. Um, yeah, I wanted to say something, but I already forgot,
But
you
let's
know.
briefly talk about the difference between guilt and shame. That might be helpful for people. What's your take
Yeah.
on that?
See, this is the topic that I'm researching a lot, as a clinician, but also human being. Um, I think that yeah, shame is more um, a process of self-rejection. It's more about identity that I am the mistake. If I made a mistake, I am the mistake. I have something wrong with me. Um, when the other person triggers the shame, then we feel rejected, I am not lovable. So there is a self-attack, when we are triggered into the shame. Guilt is about that mistake, about something I did. And healthy guilt, or that, you can kind of general guilt, is that we need to have guilt in order to make apology, to come and repair. So it's a good healthy feeling to have, when we unintentionally make mistake and we hurt someone's feelings. That's a part
Yeah,
of
that,
relationship building.
that's
But
beautiful. This is the first time I've actually heard a
yeah,
positive frame put around guilt.
yeah,
Good
yeah.
for you. I'm making that my own. Thank you.
And
Because
another
because
way,
when we're guilty of something, we're guilty of it.
yeah,
And like you're
yeah,
saying, guilt is just the behavior. Shame goes all the way to the character or the
yeah.
personhood. Like I'm bad because I
Mhm.
did this rather than I just made a mistake.
Yeah. And you know what I also figured out recently? I always, for years, I knew kind of distinction, guilt and shame. And I realized that uh, guilt and shame can have a very chronic nature. So even if the guilt is not about like who you are, but you do feel guilty on a regular basis, which is a chronic pattern. And guilt can be also putting pressure on yourself, or you just have a lot of thoughts about, I should have done it this way, that way, and you may not be necessarily like shaming yourself, like into unworthiness.
Hmm.
You may still feel pretty worthy person, and yet you can drain your life energy just by pressuring yourself, doubting yourself, and it's kind of like a chronic guilt. And I figured it out that even guilt can be chronic and can affect you, how can reduce you being spontaneous and authentic.
You know, that
Just that
sounds a lot
pressure.
like an ongoing not good enough.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it has a lot of versions and shades of guilt and shame. But I want listeners to also maybe start watching for it, or observing it, how frequently those shoots come in, and how hard one is on self when things are happen, and they will always happen kind of outside of your control. Something is going to happen, right? And even if nothing bad is happening, but I didn't finish my to-do list, and I had that judgment about myself. I used to be like that, right? And I think I released that. I no longer want to do to myself.
I think what I hear you saying is that guilt and shame are both under the umbrella of some kind of negative pressuring of the self. You
Hmm.
started by putting a positive frame around guilt. You're kind of saying if you hurt somebody or do something wrong, you should feel guilty so that you can correct your mistake.
Yes. Hmm.
And
Yes.
you could call that positive pressure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but predominantly, I hear you saying that both guilt and shame are under this umbrella of just negative pressure that puts the self down. It's like never good enough. There's
Hmm.
always more. And
I
instead
could
of
have done better,
yes, and I mean
Hmm.
there's a positive use of I could have done better because that's probably always true. But
Yeah.
what we're
Hmm.
talking about is just it's you know I'm going to reframe that. Do you need to feel bad to be a good person?
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
asking you.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm asking
And
you,
and the
Ivana.
answer is no. Hmm.
Okay, good answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
But do you know how many people depend on
Yeah.
feeling like shit in order to be a better person? They think
Hmm.
that they're being moral by feeling bad about not being good enough
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
feeling, you got my point there.
Yeah, yeah. And I think there's a certain psychobiology in it, like anything that if it started in childhood because the parenting was more authoritative, there was a lot of finger pointing, there was a lot of correction of children's behaviors that can be internalized and you become that judge of yourself. There's always that part of you that judges your performance, your words, your how you're behaving, and it really is opposite of freedom an adult agency, right? Like from this from this place of agency, I get to choose how much I'm going to ruminate on the things that didn't go well, you know, rather than also I have a choice to re redirect myself, but what went well today? I think we all need to at certain point in our lives to give ourselves this challenge of 30 days um, and do the ending of the day, landing of the day is what went well today and how I contributed to it.
Well, and of course, that's a good practice to do with kids too, to
Mhm.
really focus on what they
Totally.
did right,
Mhm.
not just to correct their mistakes.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
And so what I hear you saying is do that with yourself. And then
Mhm.
you're going to model that with the children. It's going to naturally flow.
Yeah, Andy, when you were a little boy, um, what do you feel like you wanted to hear, even if you hear it every single day for your whole childhood? What would be three things or a thing that you wanted to hear when you go to sleep?
Um, I wanted to hear, I'm so glad you're here in my life. You're a good boy. Thank you for being so kind, or something like that. You
Mhm.
know, in the real course, whenever we do that angel talk, I cry every single time. And I cry even when it's my turn to go around and say these lovely things to the students, to whisper that in their ear,
Mhm.
because it's just so sweet. And I haven't outgrown that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, now you answer that question. What would
Mhm.
you like to have heard or to hear?
Mhm. First of all, I would want someone to be there, to begin with, right? Someone who is there consistently. So when I'm putting my kids to sleep, every night, it's like it's my own reparenting. I have a picture of my little girl in my daughter's room, and sometimes we look at her and this is little Ivonka, then she she was just like you, so
And what is
playful.
what does Luna say when you do that?
Hmm. No, and then she smiles, it's interesting for her, that yeah, I mean, I don't remember what she says.
Do you think she can really see you as having once been a little girl like her?
It's already, I think she can because I introduced little Ivonka, long time ago. So it is just something the part of our family, it's
Okay, that's
yeah.
lovely. Yeah.
Yes. And when I was a little girl, I think if somebody was there, um, um, I think I would want to hear you are loved just for who you are, and you can do anything you put your mind to.
And that's clearly a message you give your kids.
Hmm.
You actually say it out loud to them, right?
Hmm. Yes, yes. What I wanted to hear, I'll say to them. Mm. So it's a
Yeah.
beautiful. I am tearful when you reflected back to me. Yeah. Mm.
Because it's just so, I've known couples who don't have children,
Mhm.
and they have a different kind of adult development than people who have children in their adult years. Because people who have children are somehow the child, the universal child is in their face. Whereas ch grown-up people that don't have children, they can sort of pretend that they were never children, and it's not in their foreground at all.
Mhm.
And I almost want to say that people that, oh God, this sounds so judgmental, but people who don't have children tend to be more self-absorbed. There's something about having children that it either brings out the worst or the best, but generally it brings out the best. Most people really love their children and want the best for them, and that means they're going to stretch and probably go beyond what they themselves received when they were children.
Mhm. If I didn't have children, um, I think I would want to go to places where I can bring that inner child out, like the real course, or dances, or, so I think that I would want to, because I think even people without children could grow. And also, uh,
I
can
didn't mean to imply that they're doomed or something.
I also noticed that people who don't have children and they take their calling, they can be more like guides, teachers. One of my breathwork a mentor is actually someone, I think she doesn't have children, and yet she has us as students, we are their children in a way.
You're her
It's
babies. And I've seen people that don't have children who have pets who really treat their pets like babies. They even refer to them as my fur babies or something. And because people, we have like a positive parentalism built in,
yeah.
especially because we had parents. It's part of our wiring.
Hmm.
All right,
Yeah.
so listen, I want to wind down this conversation. There's so much more to talk about when it comes to parenting, like food and sleep and uh, rules in the house.
Yeah.
There's real practical things that we can
Mm.
talk about. One thing I was
Yeah.
hoping you would mention, and I looked for the book Redirecting Children's Behavior. There
Uh-huh.
was something about it was based on meeting the child's needs. And if you
Hmm.
become aware of there were like four or five basic needs. If you could address those, your children will not misbehave. The premise of that book and course is children misbehave when their needs are not met. It sounds
Hmm.
so simplistic, but I think it really, really applies. And they
Hmm.
said that the cornerstone to proper parenting, and I forget the phrase that they came up with. It was something like an encounter or the meeting or an existential moment? Or do you
Mm.
remember the phrase?
Yeah, yeah. So first of all, that first concept, that's absolutely true. Children don't misbehave. They're just communicate through their emotions. They communicate their needs, and those basic needs. And we all have them, even when we were children, and we have them even as adults. But it doesn't mean that we have to now enroll people meeting those when we are adults. And they are need for acceptance, need for affection, need for autonomy, right? Like we need also be let be and do our own thing, We are no one's possession, We are subjects, we are not objects.
Ooh, good
And
one.
then, yeah, the need for um, yeah, appreciation, being appreciated, valued for who we are, and we need the number one thing. It's not exactly from the book of redirecting children's behavior, but we need connection.
Yes.
We need connection. So we children need parents who have capacity to connect and capacity to stay connected to themselves, So that's in a nutshell. But those moments of I know I cannot recall it. These are moments when we give the child undivided attention, when we just put everything aside,
Yeah.
and it's just something that every day we have to do, the encounter, just the um, um, mindful encounter with your child, and you kind of like follow the child. You don't give any orders, you don't tell them what they need to do, or you don't even necessarily trying to ask them, questions about the day, but it's being with them and following their process. That's what also child really um, thrives on emotionally and mentally and relationally, when someone can be there for them, ideally on daily basis, for some undivided attention time with them.
Okay. Thank you so much. I want you to have a final sentence, a final statement about parenting, and if possible, to summarize everything that you've said so far.
Okay, okay. I will be speaking on behalf of uh, Children's Kingdom. Okay. Children, if they have words for it, they would say, Mom, Dad, I don't need you to be perfect. I don't need Disney World passes. I don't need the latest gadgets. I need you to show me in your eyes that you um, love me the way I am. I need you to somehow let me know that I'm welcome here, that I matter, that I am enough, just me being alive and being born. And I need you to figure these emotions out for yourself. So when I have them, you can help me with them, you know. Okay. How did that sound?
Oh, that's beautiful, Ivana. Beautiful, beautiful. You are
Oh,
so adorable and lovable. And
and
and that's
uh,
not me as your parent. That's just me as your friend.
yeah. And
And
you are a gift to my life and to my family. And I
oh,
cherish every day, having you in my life.
oh, okay. And listen, I could see us doing some kind of a follow-up where we talk more specifically about things like how do you help your children develop good sleep habits, good eating habits, and stuff like that.
Okay.
If you're up
When I
for
master that, then we can schedule it.
it. No, see, that's why we're talking about it now so that you can work on it. All right.
Yeah. would
Love
be my
you.
pleasure.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.